Far From Vesuvius podcast. That's Ralph Pizarro of Calcio Napoli Club. Just rant about Napoli.
Let's go for it.
We're going to rant. We're going to match report. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about topics. You leave comments and we'll read your comments out. Question.
All right. Quick stats.
Yes. Throw the stats up there. On to a nice little segment that we're going to call the Beast of the Match.
Who is beasting it for the Napoli team? Let's see.
Follow us on Facebook. Rafael Rispo, Ralph Pizarro. Twitter at RafaNapoli83. That's me.
CNC USA 26.
I want some feedback to the show. What do you guys want to see? What do you want to see more or less of? This is going to be a show for you guys too. I want a lot of comments.
We want to rant about something. Let us know if you want us to rant about something.
I promise you we're not going to agree on everything all the time.
We won't.
We're going to yell at each other every now and then.
Come and rant. This is what it's for. We want to give you a space to let loose so you can do it here.
Well, that's going to do it, Ralph. Were we boring enough for you?
I don't know. I think we were great.
Let's get to it.
Madonna do Carmen, aiutici tu.
And benvenuti, fellas and bellas all over the world. Welcome to another episode of the Raff and Raff Rant. I am Raff Biz, joined by my co-host, the Vicar of Vesuvius, Rafa Rispo, along with our amazing panel, three horsemen to join us, making four kind of horsemen, or five, or get 4.5. We got Adreano from the Calcio guys. We got our boy Alex Donno from the Calcio Connection, and of course Cliff, our favorite Juventino from the All Juve Cast. Welcome, gentlemen. So good to have you here. How are you? Well, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us.
Guys, great to see you here. And hello to everybody on the chat. Let's get this rant on the road. And big shout out to everybody on the audio listeners from Far From Vesuvius. Guys, the season, it's over. It's what a season. Man. It's over. I don't know how to feel. It was such a. We said it was gonna. Well, we said here that it was gonna come down to the last match, and it did. Adreano, I guess formally we will wish you a congratulations here on the Raff and Raff.
Yes.
Milan, AC Milan, being the 2021-2022 steady. How does it feel, man? Did you party? Did you celebrate? Like, how tell us. How's your day yesterday?
Yeah, you know what? I told you off air, guys. If you asked me this yesterday, I don't think I had much of a voice. So I'm slowly recuperating the voice today. It feels good to be able to talk normal, somewhat decent,
Yeah.
But yeah, listen. I'm a proud Milan Club Montreal member. I got the cap on tonight, like I usually do. Try to rep my club here in Montreal. Yeah, man, we were all at the bar Charo in the east end of Montreal here in the city.
Okay.
Just a bunch of us, 100 plus people in the bar. When you're part of a fan club in the city,
Sure.
Big games like this, we usually get a good turnout. So it's probably been one of the bigger turnouts I've seen since joining the club. And being all together at the cafe, at the bar, all being all together and just celebrating, cheering, chanting, winning. Obviously, it feels good
obviously
to win,
right. Winning,
but yeah, just exactly right. So just focusing on the task at hand and being all together with people that share the same passion as you and bleed for and live for the colors that we do. Being all together, like I said, was the biggest joy, and to come out, like I said, victorious was obviously the cherry on top.
No, absolutely, and even the turnout at Casa de Milan or something in Italy.
Yeah.
Today
was the parade. It was huge.
Packed.
It was big. Yeah,
packed. Jeez, man. Wow. It must have been real. 11 years now. You kind of been waiting for this moment again. So I'm sure the fans would have been real happy. Yeah. We're gonna, if Napoli wins, we'll just break Campagna because we've been waiting for over 30. Campagna will just break. I
can't even imagine. What's going to happen.
Vesuvius will explode. I can't even. It will explode.
I mean, it will. We'll make it explode.
Right. Like I might have to call out sick to the Monday episode after that Sunday. But Alex, Alex, you know what they say about second place. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be friends and I like you. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna.
He's saying you're the first loser, Alex. That's what he's saying.
If you're not first, you're last, right?
Not first, you're last.
Thank you, Bobby, baby.
I'm sorry, but I mean, we were talking a little bit about backstage though, right? And you had said that, as far as for all the Interisti out there, you had said that it was like inevitable maybe that last day. You were kind of you've already accepted it, right? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, there was no like explosion of grief yesterday. I was kind of upset when I was watching the Inter match where they won comfortably, and I was checking the Milan score on my phone, and there wasn't a whole lot of suspense. 1-0, 2-0, like so.
Really,
I knew pretty early. I knew pretty early the scudetto wasn't happening. And I headed into the final match day with a pretty good idea. Scudetto for Inter is not happening. It was a very slow burn, right? It was
right.
If we had entered into a situation, final week like in Milan's shoes, where if Inter controlled their own destiny and then they dropped points, didn't win, and Milan overtook, that would have been a lot more painful just on the final match day. But like to me, it really goes back to for the past few weeks, ever since Inter blew that match against Bologna, that makeup match. I knew it was going to be steep uphill climb, and then since that match, Inter and Milan didn't drop any points. Like they, and Milan were just, there are a ton of factors as to why Milan won the Scudetto and not Inter, but I think a big one is just the overall consistency. Obviously, Milan just had a little bit more of that from January on than Inter did. So no, it wasn't. My grief has been like slowly spread over the past.
Oh, right. You got to absorb it slowly but surely. Cliff, Juve, fourth place. I mean, listen, you guys win all the time. I don't feel bad for you. You're coming off 9 straight. Yeah. I know last season, it was a battle, Napoli, Juve, and again to the last game, you end up taking the fourth. This time, I guess we got our Coppa della Juve Merda. We finished above you. It was our little consolation prize. But but you
own it. I'm gonna own it.
Okay,
we're not great this year, but you know what? What's amazing for the bright spot that I want to take is that we weren't good. We were really bad, and we still got fourth. I think that's the silver lining. That even in a really bad season, I think fourth is respectable considering how many issues we had in the team, how many issues we had with Allegri. I see V in the chat saying Kulusevski's greater than Chiesa. Stop that right now. Oh, come at you. Don't you dare say that. But yeah, I mean, this team was just really discombobulated throughout the year. A lot of issues. Obviously, the Dybala saga is now seemingly over with him potentially going to this man's team. We won't talk about that hopefully in this show. But yeah, I mean, you guys definitely, you have gloating rights this year. You could definitely have bragging rights that you can say you got above us. And
I'll take it.
I'll take 9 Scudetti. I'll take 9 Scudetti in a row.
Right.
It's okay if we have a few bad seasons.
Right. It's like you're allowed to have a couple bad seasons. But was there any point? I mean, because after January, Juve went kind of on this run. Was there any point that before that you thought, man, are Juve going to finish out of the top 4? I mean, was that any concern to you at all?
Beginning of the season, when we were like bottom of the table, that was obviously concern. I'd be lying if I said I had full faith that we were going to make top 4. There was obviously doubt. I think if any team is that that far into the season and they're like that low in the table, there's a ton of concern. I had faith that we could bring it back to a respectable position. I think fourth is respectable considering how bad we were. Right. But there was obviously worry, as there would be with any team. But we'll take it. We'll take UCL. We're still building. We're getting back to what we once were. There's been a lot of turnover, as we know. It's a new season. Every year we have a new coach, so it is what it is.
Rafa, I will designate. Well, obviously, you'll be our Napoli representative here, so I'll ask some of the questions. Welcome to the show, Rafa. No, but
hey, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. I saw you last night with Frank and the boys on the Milan week.
Cliff was with me too. Cliff was with me too.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes. We had fun. Yeah, it was good.
Good time.
A little disappointed that a Napoli player didn't make the Serie A sit down starting 11. I guess before you ask me anything, Ralph, I'll say that for Napoli to have been expected to finish outside of top 4 this year by a lot of people. I mean, I think the smarter Calcio fans and Calcio people out there kind of had an idea that Spalletti would get Napoli back into the Champions League. But there were a lot of people out there that didn't have a lot of regard for Napoli this season. For them to have not only got themselves into a Champions League spot comfortably, but also make a run for the scudetto with with four weeks left in the season still. I feel like on a proper, and I'm not discrediting the Serie A sit down top 11, but to make a proper team of the season, there's got to be one or two Napoli players, either from the midfield or on defense.
Football Italia had Di Lorenzo, right?
I think Di Lorenzo should have made right back. I think Di Lorenzo should have made right back. We gave it. The collection of us gave it to Dumfries for Inter, but I think Di Lorenzo definitely. I mean, you could see when Di Lorenzo went out with an injury. Napoli capitulated and essentially lost the scudetto. In my opinion. In that week, I know we did a poll on Twitter where we asked where Napoli lost the scudetto this season, and a lot of the folks said in December when we had that disaster run in December. But I don't believe that. I think we were still in it at that point in time, and without Di Lorenzo, we lost the scudetto, and that's just the way it is, But listen, great season. At the end of the day, I'm disappointed in the scudetto, failure, but at the same time, I'm very happy with the outcome of the season, Ralph. And if you have a specific question for me, I'll answer it. But that was what I wanted to kind of start with. I think
we've been doing this so long, you and I, Rafa, that you read my mind there.
Okay.
As to what's happening.
Yes, Clifford.
I have a question. Does Mario Rui walk into this top 11 of the season? What is he on right now? Ateo had an amazing season.
Listen.
Yeah, dude. Ralph, why don't you take that? What do you think?
This may be an ongoing joke, I think, but I love Mario Rui. Is he a top 11 in the league? I don't think so, but
he's a gritty player, though.
He makes the bench. I think he makes the bench.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, left back, you can't give it to Mario. You can't give it to Mario Rui. Left back belongs to Teo Hernandez. He's one of the best players of the season. Period. As good as Mario Rui was, and as much good as he did defensively for us this season, even had 6 assists. You can't deny that Teo Hernandez was just a freaking masterpiece.
He's a pain in the ass. He really is a pest.
Who?
Mario Rui. He's a pest. That's why. Why I think a lot of people hate him, because he's so annoying to play against. I don't think he's the best left back, but he's a guy who will just get you pissed off and force you to make a mistake and get a yellow card.
Right. He has big work.
Raff will tell you he's gonna give you 110%. That's what you can ask from anyone,
Yeah, Napoli Dons in general, just they want to see you sweat. Whether you're great or average or whatever, they just want to see you sweat. But I like this question here. I'm going to ask you, Adreano, when do you think Milan won the scudetto? I mean, I guess some can say the last day. I don't know, but what do you feel like? When was your confidence galvanized?
I saw this question from Scala. I was hoping you would bring it back up, Ralph. But it's a good question. But listen, I think again, we were speaking a bit about off air. I think this has been said probably on other podcasts as well. For me, I mean, besides what the result ended up being, I think just finding out what played out when Inter finally made up that game, it was always. Yes, but. There was always a but. Milan's here, but Inter still has that game in hand. Napoli's in the mix, yes, but Inter has that game in hand, and that was going on and on and on for pretty much a good length of the season, right? So, I think, granted, the result obviously paid dividends in the end, but it was I think it was up until that point. But again, after that point, it wasn't for me. It was never secure just because Inter lost that game. There was a lot of tough games ahead. Many people want to say, Milan had the harder schedule down the stretch. Again, it's all played on the pitch, and we can sit here and say, oh yeah, but Milan played this team, that team, and Inter only played Empoli and teams of that nature. But At the end of the day, the ball is round. At the final business end of the season, anything can happen. And but when I felt the most, I guess, yeah, like Scott was saying, like when did we win the scudetto? Probably further down after that game. The game against Verona was huge. The Lazio, the Lazio performance as well. The Fiorentina game. Like these last few games were just like crucial, one after the other, and just seeing how Milan really gutted it out. If they came from behind, if they scored a late goal, if they got a result, which they did down the stretch, it was huge. So I think those accumulating factors was really when we, I guess you can say, quote unquote, won the scudetto. But again, it wasn't won till the last match day, and the game against Sassuolo on Sunday, or yesterday, sorry, was huge.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's not 1 point, but many points that kind of keep me down to the stretch.
Alex, I'd like to ask, maybe just kind of, I want to kind of go around the panel and maybe start with, was there something different that you think Inter could have done? I know in the back room we said win.
Win.
I guess that's if you sum it all up into one word, maybe. But is there anything that you were like kind of unsatisfied with as far as Inter goes, the team that maybe had they adjusted it, maybe they could have came out with a win?
Yeah, a couple big things for me. Goalkeeping was an issue with both the starter and the backup. I mean, Handanovic had some truly excellent games and excellent moments, so I'm not going to say Handanovic is completely washed. But I do think over the last couple of years, one area where you've seen big evidence of the just financial challenges that Inter's ownership have had is if they had, deeper pockets since the pandemic, I absolutely think they would have gone out and gotten a real second option or even a first option by now at keeper to replace Handanovic, because he definitely left some saves on the field. 37 years old. He's not what he's used to be. I think I'll pass on that.
Pass on
the So Handanovic, he had his issues. You can't expect him to be as consistent at his age as he was a few years back. And then we all saw what happened when Handanovic was injured and Radu started in that Bologna game. And I'll say, bottom line is, that goal that he gave up to lose the game, that one goal didn't end up making a difference because Milan still would have won the Scudetto. If Inter drew that Bologna game, Milan still would have won the Scudetto. Obviously, that was one of the low points of the season. The entire team should have played better, because if Inter had actually won that game, not drawn or lost it, they would be hoisting the Scudetto right now, not Milan. So goalkeeping is very high on the list for me. I also think that just the drop-off from Lukaku to Dzeko was also big time. And if you just look at Dzeko's stats, you could say, oh, he had a really good season. But it's just too many downs, too many peaks and valleys for him. Whereas, Lukaku the last couple of years was pretty consistently dominant against Serie A. Right. And Lautaro also had a ton of valleys, and I think he clearly played off of the Lukaku partnership. He and Dzeko every night that they were on the pitch together, it was like they just met that night. Like the chemistry just wasn't there. So I thought a drop off at the striker position and just too many inconsistencies at keeper were the big things. Like those are what I look at as like the big regrets. It's not really anything tactical. I know, people will poke fun at Inzaghi, Limone Inzaghi, the whole thing. I thought Inzaghi did a fine job, right? And it also, it wasn't a trophyless season, right? I mean, Supercoppa and Coppa, it's not a Scudetto, but it counts for something. I thought, and, being right there, final match day, I thought Inzaghi did a really good job. I don't put it on him. I really don't. Was he perfect? No. But I don't put it on him. I think it was just a couple things with the roster.
Okay.
Yeah. Alex, looking at Inter's games, I mean, the one loss to Bologna, and before that, the last loss in the league was in February to Sassuolo. And a couple of draws against it was Fiorentina and I believe Torino.
Genoa too.
A draw against Genoa too. But I mean, like Lautaro went cold and I think that was a big factor in Inter missing out on the scudetto this season. Where did you know at some point, okay, we're not winning this scudetto? Like, did you have a point in time where you were like, okay, this is Milan's to lose?
I can tell you, I can't say exactly that I knew at this point Inter wouldn't win the Scudetto, but when I had really big doubts was in February in the second Milan derby in the Serie A. That was a turning point. Like, that was a huge positive turning point for Milan, negative turning point for Inter. Like, it wasn't just dropping that derby, it was the way that they dropped that derby, because Inter in the first half played like almost a perfect 45 minutes of football, except
they
they
played
only
a good
put
70 minutes. They played a good 70 minutes.
They looked so good in the first half, and then in the second half, Milan came alive. Giroud was clinical, scored a brace. And I love how we get the Çalhanoğlu curse. Honestly, Hakan had a pretty good season, man. I know he's like a meme. I know Milanisti despise the guy, and I understand why. And they're like, oh, this guy, say, even with Inter, he did have like a tough period. I think around like November and December, he wasn't very good. But overall, like, I can't really complain about Hakan. I thought he actually had a really good year in an Inter shirt. So it sucks for him. He leaves Milan, and then Inter don't win and Milan do. So the curse, whatever. But he was pretty good this year.
Cliff, I want to kind of kick the question to you as well. Like, as far as Juve's performance, again, maybe these past two seasons weren't up to par, up to Juve's standards. Certainly not, especially 9-time in a row champions and all that. So, like, what was something that maybe you thought? I know Chiesa got injured. You had a big winter market. Like, we tried to fix that, but is there anything that you like? What do you see Juve struggling at right now that you think you would hope to see improve in these next upcoming seasons?
So the first thing before I get into that, I was going to say, if you asked me the Inter question, I was going to say the second derby della Maggionia. So that's how you know that Alex knows ball. Or maybe I know ball because I'm copying him. I don't know. But going to Juventus, I think honestly Chiesa was a huge turning point. I think the second was McKennie going down, because he was such a firecracker in the midfield, so much grit, and just he brought an energy that nobody else had on the team. He brought like that fino alla fine, the true fino alla fine mentality that few of the players on the team this season actually had. And losing him was huge because we kind of lost that like fight in the midfield. Like, Locatelli's not like a super high energy guy like McKennie. Like, McKennie will just, he's kind of like a Rui in the midfield. He's just that pass. He's always finding places to get headers on the ball, whether he makes them or not. He's always in the right positions. So I think the obvious thing is midfield. I think the midfield needs improvement. We've heard the rumors that Pogba, there's a very good chance that he might land at Juve. So I think that's a big improvement. If you add him to Zakaria, Locatelli, and if you keep McKennie, I think that's a really good base. And if you add one of the youth players like Amiretti, Fagioli, or Rovella, and you bring them up, I think this looks like a really well-rounded midfield. And I think that's the position that's the biggest key for Juve, because in the past, they've always been reliant on a very, very talented midfield. Obviously, we know the likes of Marchisio, Pogba, Vidal, and Pirlo in the early 2010s. And then to a lesser extent, when we had Pjanic later in the 2010s, he was a really great player to have. I guess Matuidi a little bit at the beginning, and then Khedira. But we've had a history of good midfielders. So that's really where it all starts. I think Allegri's Juve right now is very heavy on possession. You need to hold possession for this team to be successful. And without that midfield to hold up, you're going to lose possession like we have and give up late goals to win games for other teams. Vincenzo said pasta e fagioli. Great dish. Great dish. So I love it. And I want Fagioli to come up just so we have a guy named Beans on the team.
I had that for lunch yesterday.
Oh, I love it.
Pasta fazool, huh?
Pasta fazool.
Yeah, my father makes a good one. That was my lunch yesterday.
Nice.
Great day.
Got to get that fiber in right now.
Exactly.
then you're in the bathroom all week.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, though. It's worth it.
It's worth it. It is worth it.
Yeah.
Rafa, so I'll kick it to you, man. Like, for Napoli, what was something that you would have liked to see maybe little bit better.
Okay.
Maybe.
The right-handed attack.
Okay.
I don't think it was, the wings in particular, but I'm gonna focus in on the right. I was very upset with the play. What did I just miss?
No, the
Peter
comment.
Scala wants
Oh,
you.
Yo, Scalini
Listen,
here.
I'm in if you're
he's
in.
good
What's
to
the
I'm
me,
in
man.
if
Juve
you're in.
song? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, started.
Juve.
Storia de un grande.
Grande
Oh, I don't know that song.
cagata.
I can't say it, Mo.
Yeah.
All right,
All
listen.
right. Maybe it'll happen.
That's okay. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, Politano and Lozano, if you take a look at their numbers last season, not this past season, but the season before, the last season of Gattuso, I mean, they combined for more goals than Callejon did in his last 2 seasons with Napoli, goals and assists. So the space was very well covered for that season, and this year they both went missing, and in a big way. So for me, it was the right-handed side, and then it was maybe a little bit of depth in the left back, right back position. Di Lorenzo played so much and so hard for so long that when he finally went down, Zanoli, who had a great debut against Atalanta, just kind of lost it against Fiorentina and Roma and Empoli, and it was just a real mess, And then Zanoli ended up going down with some sort of a sickness, and he had to get replaced at halftime against Empoli with Malqui, and Malqui was just an abomination. And so for me, it was that whole right side where I think it needs a lot of work done. And I otherwise, I mean, you had Osimhen, covering for that right side. You saw him on the right side a lot to cross into like 5'0" Mertens and Insigne. And,
Right.
If they were even there covering, but also besides that, I was very disappointed with Zielinski's play this year. I really thought that he was the biggest disappointment of the season was Piotr Zielinski. After the season that he had with Gattuso, 10 goals, 10 assists, he really went missing. So those 2 areas for me were where we needed a lot of help with.
Yeah, I was saying the same. I remember when Peter Scala was on here, it was like the key to this Napoli is going to be Zielinski, and man, I think he was right. Gianluca says Zulu was not half the player he was last year. Certainly
not even a quarter of it. Not even a quarter of it. Something just went missing with him, and I don't know if it was COVID. I don't think he pulled up with an injury. I think his biggest problem this year was COVID, and he was out for a while with it. Right. And just wasn't the same when he came back. So for me, I think that's it. And then I would love to have replaced him with someone like Berardi on the right. You know what I mean? Which I hope could happen for us in the offseason. But maybe I'd like to steal one of your guys' players, like from the right hand side.
All right,
and replace him.
Well, we're gonna, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna have a bit. We're gonna call it the missing piece. But before we get to that, I just want to know real quick, guys. I want to ask everybody's beast of the season for your respective teams, no matter the place, win or lose. I want to know who was your favorite player, who stood out for you the most, and who you're looking forward to seeing next season. I'll start with you, Adriano. I'll start with AC Milan. Who was your beast of the season, man, for Milan this year, all year?
Yeah. Well, for me, there's more than one. I think it's pretty obvious candidates for Milan fans and I guess level-headed Serie A fans as well. It's gonna have to go to Mike Maignan, Magic Mike, Iron Mike, whatever you want to name him, and Leao. I think those are the two players that kept us in the game or won us a game, or were able to help win a game. I think many people saw obviously the Donnarumma exit and bringing Maignan. Not many people knew who he was, myself included. I can't say I'm an expert on the French league in Ligue 1, so Yeah, he's a champion. He was a champion of Ligue 1. Yes, he's a French international. I didn't really know too much about his abilities, but he put on the Milan jersey and he was
Yeah.
lights out. He saved us a lot. He kept us in games. He made that save, that crucial save that you need a top goalkeeper to make if you want to make a championship type of run. He was there. He was always there. The times that he did let in some goals, whatever. Sometimes maybe it's his fault, sometimes not. But for the most part, he was pretty solid between the sticks. And I mean, what can you say for Leao? I mean, he was just on another level. He's grown so much as a player. And I'm reading the comments too. Tomori, salad maker. I don't know about salsicha maker. We'll keep him on the side.
Salsicha maker.
But Tomori, definitely a good shout. I saw that in the comments. But for me, it has to go for Magnan and Leao. Like I was saying, Leao just MVP of Serie A this season. He came out to play in the bigger matches. Especially in Serie A this season. Down the stretch was huge. Yesterday's game, I mean, it's not every day you're getting a player that's bringing you 3 quality assists to win you a scudetto on the final match day. So it takes a lot. He's a young player. He has a lot to continue to prove. But for this season, you want to say beast of the match, MVP, whatever you want to say. It's those 2 guys for me.
I like what Arthur says here. Alexis Salamaker said, our champion will never roll smoothly off the tongue. Correct. That's important. I'll go clockwise. I'll go to you, Cliff. Who's your beast of the season for Juventus?
Oh, it has to be Alexandro. No, I'm just kidding. There have been so many bad players. I mean, there was a lot of players who underperformed this season. So I'm going to give it to our man who's left us, legend of the club, Giorgio Chiellini. I'm going to give it to him just because whenever he stepped on the pitch, he gave it everything he had. And he was by far always the most passionate player. His head would always bleed. No matter when he stepped on the pitch, he'd always have blood running down his face. He gave his heart and soul to this club. And
keeps headbutting people. Yeah, that's what happened.
But he's just a special player. And we're going to miss him. So I'm going to give it honorary to him.
All right, Chiellini's. Alex, beast of the season for Inter.
Oh, it's Ivan Perisic, no question.
Okay.
Clear Inter MVP. He was just involved with everything. It seems like most of the dangerous attacks would come from his left side. 8 goals, 7 assists with Inter. It felt like a lot more than that. I'll be honest, because he was always creating dangerous chances and scoring a lot of brilliant goals. So there were a number of good players on Inter that had very good seasons. I mean, just when you say the word beast, it makes me think of Milan Skriniar, but it's like Inter's best player this year was Ivan Perisic. Brozovic was also very good, but Perisic was just a cut above. And I'm encouraged by some reports coming out today that he may end up signing a new deal after all, because I really, for much of the season, I thought it was his swan song and played so well. I wanted to keep him, and it looks like he will stay.
Rafa, I'll give it to you, man. Beast of the season for Napoli, bro. I think we are going to agree on it, so I'm going to let you do it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, really? Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think we'll agree. Elmas, thank you. Have a nice night, guys.
Ciao.
Just kidding. Stop it. He was a beast this season, but go on.
He was. Player of the season was Victor Osimhen.
Okay.
Player of the season. Beast of the season for me, because in keeping in our tradition, we don't really pick the best players per se. We go with who gave it their all, their 100%. I'm gonna have to. It's tough because I'm gonna have to go with Mario Rui, number 1, with Di Lorenzo getting a very very close second. Mario Rui for me was just amazing. I mean, for me, he definitely embodied the never give up, never quit, get stuck in. He might not be the best overall all-round left back in the league, but he's damn close to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Mario Rui this season.
Okay.
I know
thought
you
you were
want
going to say
to
Zambo.
Huh?
I do want
to
to
say Zambo. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Raise your hand.
No, that's
Sorry.
Go first.
Does Koulibaly make a cut, or that's
does
not
Koulibaly
enough?
make the cut? So
I
for
thought you
me-
were going to pick
for me-
Koulibaly. I'll be honest, but I think he was one of the players of the season for Napoli at
Sure.
the very least. But beast, the thing is,
Dependable, always.
so I just
It's really bothering me so much. But you guys, the thing is, I'll defer to you guys because you watch Napoli a lot more than me, so I can't really speak upon it. But I thought you were going to say Zambo. I thought you were going to say Zambo because he was a baller this year for you guys.
Zambo,
like that first
was a
half
baller.
was amazing, but
Yeah.
it kind of fell off.
He dipped just a bit for a couple of months, maybe a month or two. So consistent wise, for me, it was Mario Rui. I mean, listen, Koulibaly, like I said, Osimhen, best player. Koulibaly is best center back in the world. Koulibaly. Di Lorenzo is a very strong candidate, but again, Mario Rui for me just like really, really hammered it home for me. Like I just can't get past the job he did at left back, where nobody had given him a chance. You guys, I'm not sure if you guys are really familiar. Oh, if you're not really familiar with this, but nobody wanted Mario Rui on this team. Everybody was
hates Mario Rui, and now
Napoli was gonna lose the scudetto or miss out on Champions League because we didn't have a left back, and we had. I wouldn't have traded him in for even Theo Hernandez. I think I would have kept him in there. So there you go.
What?
I mean, listen. That's a hot take, but for me, it's more than just putting a player on the pitch. It's embodiment of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I understand that beast of the season is not the best player. It's it's a hard worker. It's the guy that you don't see on the stat sheet, maybe right. Like is he showing attitude, personality? He's helping the team. He's doing the dirty work. That's the beast of the match. So I understand why Rafa, and fair enough. I know you guys, obviously Rafa is here all the time, so he gets the concept, but that's more or less that's why I think I kind of agree with Rafa, but I also like Arthur's take here about Di Lorenzo. I thought Di Lorenzo was for him playing that much, and then when to see him go down. And then we kind of struggled. I like his
Ramani comment too.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Napoli's defense was really, really good. Really good.
Yeah. It's certainly coming from our back line, our beast this season. Yeah,
absolutely.
Ramani is severely underrated in the league. He's taken big steps.
Yeah, for sure.
So guys, Rafa, let's go into this bit now. We're calling it the missing piece. I'd like for you to explain it because you do it a little better than I did, and then we'll end it there, guys. I know. Well, I guess we'll make it quick as possible. We're coming to that mark. So go ahead, Rafa. Just kind of like break it down for the viewers and for our friends here on the show, and we'll take it away.
Okay, so basically what we're doing here is that I want everybody to hear, our guests, to come up with an area of weakness on their team and take that player in that position out of their team and replace that player with one of our players on each of our teams here. So for example, I'm going to be I'm pretty upset with the right and in the midfield. So I'm going to come up with the player I want to take out, and then I'm going to replace him with either a Milan player, an Inter player, or a Juventus player. And for me, that replacement wins us the scudetto. So, Adreano, you're a scudetto winner. So I guess
with 8 players we won it somehow. I don't know
for sure. So I guess what I'm going to say is, because everybody talks about how Milan won the scudetto and how did they do it, and everybody played well and this and that. But what were you unhappy with? And if you hadn't won the scudetto, who would you have replaced the player with to make sure you would win the scudetto? Or maybe we can go take him out of for next season and put in this player, and you have to pick a Napoli, Inter, or Juve player.
This is a great segment, guys. So anybody tuning into this, I don't know if it's going to be a recurring thing down the stretch for next season, but this is a good one, guys.
I mean,
so
why not, right?
Why not, right? I might have to
into
bring
the
it to the cover,
Champions
guys.
League.
I don't know.
You need to take this player into the Champions League with you. They're going into the fire. This is, guys, everybody listening and watching. This is the Champions League 4. This is an elite group here. You understand?
Right.
Alex Donno, Inter Milan. Adriano Nardo, Campioni d'Italia. Juventus with Cliff Esmiol. Come on. Look at this. Look at this scarf here. We're in the Champions League, guys. So who needs to leave and who do you have to put in?
So no, this is. I mean, I'm glad Rafa's getting it, guys. They're getting pumped. He's getting excited. I love it, right, guys? So, for me, like similar to Napoli's this season, and again, if you would say the last season, I think your right hand side was beautiful. But I'm gonna have to agree. Like for Milan fans, it's been the biggest thing. We haven't had a right wing. We've been calling for a right wing. You listen to any Milan type of podcast or anybody that speaks Milan, it's the right wing. You know, Salamakers and Messias just they're not well, somehow they are scudetto winning. They are scudetto players somehow. I don't know. They're not really Champions League players in my opinion, but so I'm gonna have to go. And again, this pains me to go into Juve's roster. It just pains me to do so. But
Let's go.
If I'm gonna have to choose. Cliff is loving it, but if I have to choose, and again, he's an Italian international, so I have to cut him some slack there. It's Chiesa for me on the right hand side. I would take him, in a heartbeat on the right hand side. Just 1-on-1 takes on a man, fearless. Now I just hope that we see this, post this devastating injury. I hope we see Chiesa back on top form. But for me, it on the right hand side. Up and down, he does the dirty work. He does he's in the attack, 1v1. Like I said, he takes on a man like no other. I think he is a fantastic player. So I would slot him in, easily. And you know what? He played Champions League football before his injury. He came up. He scored some big goals as well for Juve. So it was encouraging to see him perform on the brightest of stages. Outside international football. So I would choose Chiesa on the right hand side. For me, then the next thing was for Milan. It was the number 10. Brahim. I like him as a player. I hope he continues. I like that he embodies what it takes to put on the Milan shirt. He really plays for the shirt, so I like that. Did he dip? For sure. Would I take Hakan back? Absolutely not. So I don't know where I'm going with this, guys. If I'm gonna go,
just one.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Napoli, and again, I'm putting my own twist on this. Like Sinatra said, I'm doing it my way. I'm going to not this season Zielinski, but last season Zielinski as my number 10. Because this season Zielinski, guys, you guys know better than me. It wasn't it, right? So I know he's not maybe your typical number 10 that you want to see, but he's a player that can, go box to box. He can make that final pass. He can score. We saw, the double last season from him. So those are my two big, main concerns for Milan. I think most Milan fans can probably agree. Will they agree with the players I choose? That's up for debate. But I'm going Chiesa on the right and last season Zielinski in the 10.
Yeah.
Feel free. I'm sorry.
Go on.
Ahead, no.
No, I was going to say it was a challenge. Remember the challenge is you got to pick from one of these teams. I'm sure there's many players from many teams that you like, but the challenge is you got to keep it in the
right. And feel free, guys,
only top 4, not the rest of the peasants.
Forget those guys.
No.
Feel free, guys, feel free to take this segment to your podcast, your respective shows.
We might have to
maybe ask your Milanisti and your Interisti and your Juventini. Do the same thing, but you have to. It has to be from the top 4.
Yeah.
So,
give us a shout. But go on
for sure.
Absolutely.
Give us a plug.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Absolutely.
But let's go with Alex Donno next. The runners-up, Coppa Italia winners, Champions League once again. Alex, do you guys? Where was your area of need? What do you need to get from one of us?
Well, I'm not gonna say taking Dybala from Juventus because I think we're doing that anyway, so I don't have to say it. But no, there
Already
are
going in with Dybala next
Watch
season.
yourself, Donno.
Hey,
Watch
listen,
yourself.
I can't banter Adreano because he's a champion and I'm not. At least today I can banter Cliff, right?
There you
But
go.
no,
You can always
but I-
banter. You can always banter Juventus, Alex. No, feel free, please.
There. No, there are some good answers, right? Like I would love to have had a guy like Horsemen in a strike pairing. Like that would be a good answer. But I think that really the only right answer would be kicking 37-year-old Handanovic to the curb. I just want to make sure I don't hate the guy. He's getting long in the tooth. I would kick out Handanovic and I would take Magic Mike Maignan. And honestly, if doing that swap was possible, I think Inter would be Scudetto champions right now. I think he could have made enough of a difference. So I think that's the big one for me. Maignan over Handanovic, and I think a different side of Milan would be celebrating right now, but we are not.
Good take. I'm feeling that.
I really like that too. Yeah.
I like that. Cliff,
Makes sense.
Cliff, you're up.
Man, so what don't we need? We need we have so many holes. So obviously we need like a left winger, left back, right back, midfielder. But I think I said midfielder before the show, but honestly, I'm changing my mind. I think Alexandra is so bad. I would give up my arm and leg for Theo Hernandez as our left back to be able to support whoever we get as a left winger, because he is so great, because he's an attacking left back, but this season he's really developed into a better defensive player. The only exception was when he played Chiesa before his injury. Chiesa had his way with him, but other than that, Theo was really good defensively this year. He made really big improvements, so I would take him in a heartbeat over Alexandra, who, as we know, is easily the worst left back in this league. Makes me want to cry my eyes out every time I see him play. But yeah, so I would go left back, and I would say, no, not Mario Rui, Vincenzo. No, I will.
Are you sure, Cliff?
I am sure. As long as I'm living, I will not have Mario Rui as my left back at Juventus.
Are you
I'd
locking
much
in your
rather have-
answer, Cliff? Are you locking it in? Your answer? Is it
I'm
locked in?
Sir,
Locked
this is
in.
my final answer. Theo Hernandez, lock it in.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. And Rafa for Napoli. Who's your boy, man?
Okay. So
Tread lightly, Rafa.
I'm gonna go.
Gotta
No.
back that number.
I know. Listen, I've got a lot of pressure on my shoulders right now. I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback my Zielinski take. Mertens plays in that position as well, but the thing about Mertens is he was able to play a little bit more than he did after Napoli were out of Europe. So when Napoli are not playing 2 matches a week, midweek matches, Mertens for me is still good enough to start on Napoli and produce. But the reality is we're going to be in the Champions League. So if you ask me this season, what would have gotten us to a scudetto, or next season what we need from the top 4, it would be Marcelo Brozovic from Inter. I would take Brozovic and put him in that spot and have him and Mertens rotate every other game, every 2 games or what have you. And with the team that we're supposed to have now, we could keep Chucky Lozano to play on the left. We could keep, and that's his natural position. And plus let's all remember, everybody's going to have a relatively easy summer. It's going to be the first really easy summer in a long time. Players are going to be able to rest. You rest up Lozano and put him on the left. Plus, we have Zizi coming in from Russia, the Georgian Messi. We'll see how he develops, but Napoli usually scout great. Napoli are going to have Politano. Let's say they don't sell Politano. They'll have Politano playing on the right. And without competition for his spot, I think Politano could really do well. If you were to put Lozano, Politano, Osimhen, and then Brozovic feeding Osimhen, because we know Spalletti, for some reason this year, couldn't really play down the flanks, and he was very centralized. So with Zielinski being poor, needing Fabian to come up from being his defensive in the double pivot, and he did well, but the focus needs to be on somebody who can feed Osimhen the ball in the center, because it's not really happening the way it should be. So Brozovic for me, I thought he had a great season for Inter. And I was between Brozovic and Hakan because Hakan was really a revelation for Inter. If you ask me, I think he played very, very well. But I'll go with Brozovic because he had.
That's the better choice.
Yeah,
Brozovic is the better choice.
Paulo Dybala.
Well, of course, Paulo Dybala, but you know what? I'll tell you why I didn't choose Dybala, because Dybala for me is a little too injury prone. I love him. I'd love to have him on the pitch, but if he's gonna get hurt and miss a few months, why? What's the point?
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely a fair point.
And that's my life now because I'm expecting that Dybala apparently is coming.
He will give you some beautiful moments, though.
He will, and he's easily my favorite Juventus player. And has been for a while, but he's also high on the wages, and we know De Laurentiis doesn't really like that. So, there you go. So Brozovic for me, and we're in.
I like this
guys.
music.
I'm gonna thank you. There's a little closing music, guys. I'm gonna go with the chat here because Vincenzo completely stole my answer. So I'm gonna go with him, and I'll put it up. As a Napoli fan, I would genuinely swap Petagna with Ibra, and we win the league. I'm with it right
you
here.
know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Ralph.
Petagna gotta go. I like Ibra. I was gonna say this.
He did. He said he did.
Vinny, great shout.
Yeah.
I gotta say something, man. Ibrahimovic missing out on the reports are, if they're true, and he was going to sign for Napoli if Ancelotti had stayed, we might be talking about a different tune here. We might have been talking about 2 straight Napoli scudetto. You know what I mean? That guy brings just an incredible charisma to any locker room, and that speech that he gave to his Milan teammates at the end,
chilling.
It's chilling for me, not a Milan fan. You know what I mean? The way he flipped that table and said Italia and Milan, it was very inspiring, and I'm very happy for my Milan friends. I have to say that I'm very happy. I'm very happy that Inter got to win a cup for my Interisti friends, and I'm also very happy to be finished over Juventus.
We're happy for your friendship, Cliff. Thank you.
But I gotta say, I do have to say, the strongest 4 teams in Italy right now are in the Champions League. And I really, really hope, I'll probably get killed for publicly, rooting for Juventus in the Champions League. But I'm not necessarily rooting for Juventus, but I am rooting for strong Italian presence in the Champions League this season. Yeah. We have to have it. And I really hope that we can all represent. I do.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. All right. Big shout out to the chat, man. Thank you for sticking around, man. We had such a good time. And big thanks to you guys. Adreano from the Calcio guys. We got Alex Donno from the Calcio Connection. Of course, Cliff from the All Juve Cast, man. Sir, we had a great time here today on the Napoli Rant. And, again, this is what it's all about, kind of coming together, talking. We appreciate everything that you guys do. And we certainly super happy for you to be here with us today. Rafa, great show as always, man.
Thank you, sir.
Had a real good time. We hope you did too. But that is all the time we have for tonight, guys. Until then, Forza Serie A. All right, I'll switch it up today. Forza Serie A. Let's hope for another good
Forza Milan. Forza Milan.
Forza Juve.
I can't hear you. The connection. I can't hear Adreano. I can't hear anything.
I'm going to put the music louder.
Storia di un grande cesto.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you again. We're out of here. Until then, we'll see you next time, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.